companies, large corporations, are becoming fearful. They're getting scared. 3 of them just admitted it in their own filings this week, and almost nobody read past the headlines. JPMorgan, Citi, and Wells Fargo are now bracing for a downturn. Whirlpool warning of a recession. Walmart's CFO calling 10-gallon fill-ups an indication of stress. Let's dive into this and see how this is going to affect all of us.
Here's the headline from July 14th into July 15th. JPMorgan, Citi, and Wells Fargo brace for potential economic downturn. Brace, that is their word. And JPMorgan just added $428 million for loans they think could go bad. 3 companies told the truth this week in their own numbers, and almost nobody read past the headline. Watch this. JPMorgan, Citi, and Wells Fargo brace for potential economic downturn. That was the headline. Now here is what it means. A bank reserve is money a bank sets aside because it believes some borrowers may not pay. Not because the bank wants attention, not because somebody is guessing. The bank actually moves money into a cushion for loans that could go bad. So when JPMorgan adds $428 million to reserves, that is a bank putting cash behind a fear. That fear is missed payments, stretched credit cards, weaker auto loans, and households with less room than the headline economy admits. This is where people get fooled. A bank can report strong profits and still prepare for the consumer to crack. The earnings headline can sound healthy, while the reserve line says, we are getting ready for pain. And this is exactly what we said in the groceries on credit video. The real signal was not just whether people were still shopping. People still buy groceries when they are broke. The signal was whether banks started preparing for those purchases to turn into balances, missed payments, charge-offs, and defaults. The banks just agreed. My near-term call is simple. Watch third quarter reserve builds. If they get bigger, the banks are telling you the slowdown is moving from theory into their own loan books. Then watch the credit card delinquency prints. If those confirm the same direction, this is not just Wall Street caution anymore. That is household stress moving through the banking system. Story 2. Whirlpool has a word for what the Iran war is doing to its industry. Recession. Whirlpool is the appliance maker. Washers, dryers, refrigerators, dishwashers, the boring stuff you buy when your house is stable, your credit still works, or the old machine finally dies and you still have enough room in the budget to replace it. That is why this story matters. Appliances sit right next to home sales, renovations, landlord repairs, home equity lines, and consumer confidence. Nobody buys a major appliance because they feel optimistic about being broke. Whirlpool warned of a recession-level decline in North American appliance demand.
Hey, real quick, just want to jump in. If you want to learn about real estate cycles, where we are in the current cycle and how to make a ton of money from the current and coming real estate crash, I'm going to put a link down below to a handful of courses for one crazy price to change the way you think about where we are and what you need to do to get ready. Links down below. Let's get back to the video.
The briefed raised stake is even bigger. Whirlpool suspended its dividend for the first time in 55 years, and its profit outlook was nearly cut in half. A dividend is cash paid to shareholders. When a company breaks a 55-year streak, that is not casual. That is management protecting cash. And this is how housing weakness spreads. First, the buyer disappears. Then the remodel gets delayed. Then the landlord skips the upgrade. Then the retailer sells fewer units. Then the manufacturer cuts guidance. Then the installer, the repair tech, the trucker, and the local store all feel the slowdown. That is why Whirlpool is not just an appliance story. It is a household confidence story. It is a housing-adjacent canary. And right now, the canary is not singing. The next clean Whirlpool print matters. Do not just listen to the words. Watch unit volume, margins, price increases, and guidance. That will tell you whether the pain disappeared or just got renamed. Last one. Walmart shoppers are filling their gas tanks with less than 10 gallons for the first time since 2022, and its CFO calls it an indication of stress. That was the headline from Yahoo Finance, originally from Fortune. Walmart's chief financial officer, John David Rainey, said shoppers were filling their tanks with fewer than 10 gallons on average for the first time since 2022. Then he said that's an indication of stress. That is the cleanest consumer signal in this whole video, because nobody needs a spreadsheet to understand a partial fill-up. You pull into the gas station, you do not say fill it, you do not even think in gallons, you think in dollars. 20, 30, whatever gets you to work, to the store, to payday, to Friday. That is not normal confidence. That is rationing behavior. At the time of the article, the national average for gas was $4.55 a gallon. Every state was above $4. That matters because fuel does not stay at the pump. Fuel moves into groceries, it moves into delivery, it moves into freight, it moves into what stores charge to keep shelves stocked. High gas can become higher store prices. That is the loop that breaks people. Gas eats the paycheck, store prices rise, the same household has even less room. Then the customer starts making smaller trips, smaller purchases, smaller repairs, smaller upgrades, and smaller payments. That is why these three stories belong together. The bank is preparing for defaults. Whirlpool is protecting cash because households are delaying big-ticket purchases. Walmart is watching customers buy less than a full tank of gas. Different companies, same confession. 10 seconds. When the banks reserve for your default and the retailers watch you ration gasoline, that's the setup we've been preparing for. The companies are not warning you about some faraway future. They are admitting what your wallet already knew. Watch what they reserve, not what they say. Money confesses. Economic Ninja is out.